Local politics are making even small modular projects hard to launch. You see, momentum, it's a powerful thing. When you're in a role, everything feels like open road. We had the tech, we had the land, and we had a plan to move the needle on how we build in this country. It felt like we were at full throttle. But let's face it, momentum, it's got a natural enemy, the barrier. I have a friend, massive F1 fan. He'll tell you about cars zipping around at 200 miles an hour. It has a lot of momentum, doesn't it? When drivers are pushing and going as fast as they can, they don't even see the walls. They see only the line that they want to take and where they want to go. But those barriers are there whether you look at them or not. If you don't slow down properly and navigate, you're dead in your tracks. A few weeks ago, I hit that wall hard. That's what makes it so f***ed up, is like Toronto is going backwards and this whole place we're at is going forwards, yet we're getting a letter that's sending us back to like 10 years of stupidity in politics. How do you say that in a sentence? Things were going really well. We brought Canada's first Maxi printer here and assembled a team to use it. We even built a school around it. Now, the 6-story building, we got that shut down for a bit, but the Sixplex was something that we were ready to do. And then the letters started coming in. Dear Committee of Adjustment members, I am writing to advise that I do not support the minor variance in application for 81 Eileen Ave.
Neighbors on Eileen Ave told the Committee of Adjustment they were in favor of density, but worried about the size of our building's 6 units versus the 3 they expected, and about parking and affordability.
An increase to the permitted number of dwelling units from 4 to 6 is a significant increase in density, with proposed floor place index of 1.31, where there's only a 0.8 is permitted. The application also proposes no visitor parking spaces and does not meet accessible parking requirements. So that means these guys can't have visitors, but we get to have an extra 2 people with houses and apartments that they can afford. But nope, can't have it in this person's backyard. People who obviously can't afford to buy a house kind of can't afford to buy a car. So I wouldn't worry about that too much, especially seeing as these are rental units that are being proposed at low income so that we can actually get people into places. I mean, it's the kind of whole purpose of designing affordable housing. Anyway, I mean, obviously we're not giving up. We're pushing this forward and we're not gonna stop. And this is a great spot for it. And this is a great community for it. We were in a town called Windsor, demonstrating the Maxi printer at the Press Print Conference. This was a conference where the top organizations were meeting to discuss how rapid development was going to be deployed and achieved. I was there to demonstrate how 3D printing would be one of the technologies to aid in that deployment. This was not an ideal time, as we were still working through challenges with our printer. But nonetheless, we made it work. With the development that, I guess, construction in Ontario is starting to really mobilize itself towards the use of technology, how is Habitat for Humanity stepping up, and what do you see as the future for what, you know, with today, with what happening in the conference versus what your expectations for building are?
Well, I mean, I think we're living in a classic case of what got us here is not what's going to get us to the next phase. And as we look at the reality of affordable housing in Canada and Ontario, in our major cities and places like Windsor, we see that there's this growing gap between what especially the next generation wants and what they can afford. And so we have to be a lot more responsive to the reality that the next generation wants to raise a family, wants to have a stable place where they can plant some roots, wants to build community, but it's hard to pay rent. Never mind come up with a down payment so you can buy your first home and just get going, right? And this is what we hear increasingly. This is what Canadians want, and yet we're not able to deliver. And so the models that we've been working with are not going to fix the challenge that we have right now. And we have to look at new approaches in how we build, right? Mm-hmm. What we build with, mm-hmm. and how do we make sure we have the right workforce as well to build those things.
Correct.
So today we're talking about, new technologies like 3D printing and modular, which absolutely have to be kind of the new playbooks for the future.
So you fit perfectly on our show, because that's literally what we're aiming towards, is how can...
Speaking with Pedro from Habitats of Humanity, it was clear that everybody there was pushing to accelerate the deployment of rapid construction.
Then the counselor weighed in. In one sentence, she destroyed months of our work. This just stopped everything. So as of right now, as of this morning, today, being March the 10th, 2026, we have been officially fought on our Sixplex by not only the council, but also Toronto Planning and two separate individuals that don't even live in the neighborhood have challenged our committee of adjustment for our Sixplex. So while the entire province is reeling from not enough units to be able to supply, we have councillors and we have Toronto Planning going against in a pre-approved place that Chow had originally mentioned was part of the Sixplex plan, fighting every single aspect of what we're trying to build. We even have letters right now, 2 days, not even enough time for us to be able to respond or to be able to come up with any potential solutions, but 2 days prior to committee, just to create that much of a problem. And what that means is if we have to fight this, of which we'll win if we fought it, we would need to go to basically an appeal, which would cost me as a developer and a builder thousands, but maybe even up to $100,000 to go to hire a lawyer, to get another independent planner, to put down our case, to go and wait 1 year from now to land in a tribunal, to have it weighted against, to probably award us the win. So in the end of the day, what does that gain Toronto? What does that gain Ontario? This is the problem. This is the exact issue that we're facing right now, is the fact that no one is supporting this because the people who are sitting in power that have been voted in are there for their publicity rather than supporting real change. This is the fucking shit that needs to be dealt with. This is the stuff that we need collectively to support on our show. We need public appeal to be able to push this forward. We need people that are going to support change to be able to deliver units and build faster, better, cheaper. That's the mentality that we have to change. Sixplexes, fourplexes, they need to go everywhere. You heard it. Mayor Chow said it directly.
More than 300,000 units have been approved.
There's ample opportunities for people to build laneway houses, multiplexes, sixplexes, any number of plexes, and to make it easier for people to build. If you're building them, we will not charge you development charges.
Becomes more affordable, Doug Ford is open to eliminating the provincial part of the HST on all home purchases.
So why aren't we doing it? Why can't we move these things forward? Why can't we create this?
Like, how absolutely absurd is this?
Just this morning, one of our sites that was originally part on Chow's agenda for Sixplexes was now opposed by the councillor and by planning as of this morning for a Sixplex using 3D printing and using modular construction. So how are we going to contend with outdated theories and placement of buildings, because no one wants sixplexes, no one wants apartments in their areas, but yet we have to have people to live there. So how are we going to deal with councillors? How are we going to deal with people who don't see outside of what they're supposed to be doing to help this, but fighting it and creating more problems for it?
Yeah, we want more affordability and choices, but then we don't want density in our own neighborhoods.
Right.
These two things clash. So we're very much about collaboration and finding solutions that bring people together.
Yeah.
But that move us forward, right? That don't just spin our wheels in terms of what we're trying to do. So in cases where we're trying to do new things that perhaps are there are not yet financing mechanisms around it or training programs around it, things like 3D and modular, our approach is to roll up our sleeves and say, let's try it, right? Let's put our energy behind it. Let's put our name behind it. Let's hopefully get some affordable homes for people, but let's also push the envelope. Change is hard.
I really appreciate your time. Thanks so much. The funny thing is, I got that email at an interesting time.
There was coverage on this event, and I wasn't going to stay quiet.
Of Sixplex sanctions to be Sixplex. We're using top level technology, so we're going to be proving 3D printing. It'll be the first 3D printed building in Toronto.
I didn't just sit there either. I hijacked the conference. I needed to know why we are all here embracing the idea of advancing the way we build, but then blocking it when it's actually time to do it.
There's a lot that we're working towards making that happen. You guys are very progressive, but how about the rest of Canada?
Later that week, I was invited to another event. I figured it was worth going to and seeing who I can talk to get this back on the right track. Then it happened. I spotted the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, at this event. And if there was anybody who could help, it'd be him. I shot my shot. I told him about the problems getting Eileen approved and the walls we were hitting. He was interested and he listened. His staff followed up. Suddenly, there was a glimmer of hope.
By talking to the Premier and getting a hold of him and being able to get information to him about what we're trying to achieve, he was able to put us in touch with the Minister of Housing. The Minister of Housing was able to take a look at what we're doing, not just from the perspective of one building, but from the perspective of this being a prototype for thousands of buildings.
Yeah, Brian's not available at all. But what time? 10 o'clock on Bay Street, right?
Yeah. This is the main meeting for Livewell.
Yeah, I get that, but Brian can't be there. But can you flip me it's not in my...
I sent you a picture.
All right, what's going on?
Hey, so what we're doing today is we're going to be actually meeting with the Ontario Minister of Housing. I'm a little nervous because we're going to be presenting a lot of big picture ideas that have come from developing the show. So I'm excited, but at the same time, there's a lot going through my head because although you guys don't know about it, I've been working on this for like 3 years in the background. It's basically the introduction of Project Livewell, and we're here specifically because I wrote a letter to Doug Ford explaining that we were literally ambushed 2 days before Committee of Adjustment on the project on Eileen. And in a province that we're pushing to build housing and to put together ways of being able to complete projects on time for, obviously the housing crisis that exists across Canada and most of the world. If it goes well, we're going to get support for the prototype homes that we're trying to build in Toronto, which will lead to Project Livewell's entire production being able to be pushed forward for the RFI that we submitted to Build Canada, which none of you know about because we've not done any shows on it. So
And we're not even sure if we could bring cameras in, so this is pretty much...
Yeah, this might be it right now, actually, because we're not sure what's going to be allowed to be brought in. But we are going in there to meet with Mike Pullman with Six Nations. We're meeting with Jason Bocafuso, who's with Royal. We're meeting with Robin, potentially Sid Kerrigan, and the rest of our team on Project Livewell is going to come in there as well. And we're hopefully going to be talking about what we can do to move all of this forward to be able to deliver our end goal, realistically.
Okay. Well, gotta get to that meeting.
Yeah, let's go. I gotta pay for parking too.
Okay.
Doug's team set up a meeting with Scott Andrew Collier and Tanner Zelenko. These are the people who write the policies that decide whether everything we're working on sinks or swims. What we've done is we've created through 3D printing. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but you can basically print a basement. It's cured in 24 hours and you can stick a building on it. So in 24 hours, you can print a basement. The next day, with working with Royal, we can actually put a house on it the next day. Not just a frame of a house, but I'm talking about a finished house. So we're gonna be able to provide houses. And we're talking about houses finished in 24 hours that we can produce under $350,000. 7 days, under $350,000. A real home for a real family. That's the headline for Project Livewell. But the house is just the beginning. We are re-engineering the very DNA of Canadian architecture, building an entire ecosystem from the ground up to sustain it. And the city?
Not only are they finally listening, they're helping.
In terms of the dollars that we have within this ministry, it's very much programmatic. It's devolved out to what we are called our service managers, which are basically our county level agents that are in the field and they're making local investment decisions. We don't have sort of that, seed capital stream that, that would come out of this ministry. So where we're reliant on that is for the MedCats of the world. And as I said, last budget, so a year ago, we had a $50 million float that was provided through Minister Fideli, who's the Minister for Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, MedCat.
Yep.
They're actually floor above us here. I would seriously recommend that you guys actually knock on their door, because that $50 million, as far as I am aware, is untouched. So there's available dollars that are there.
And it's pretty open. So the $50 million can go towards establishing a factory or to investing in technology to increase capacity at your factory. If you're talking to us about wanting pilot projects and you're finding struggles and there is good intention and all of this sort of stuff, and you can see a high density project where we're delivering on housing and you're really having that struggle with planning, I think there would be openness from the minister's office and MMAH to have a conversation around where we can help you on that side. Obviously there's a process there that takes, it's not a 2-week decision, it's a 6 to 8 month process still, but it's much quicker than the 4-year process that actual planning takes. And so I would say, as long as everything aligns and it's all done properly, if you have a specific pilot site that you are having struggles with, where you aren't getting the capacity that you need to actually make this make sense, I think there's willingness to have the discussion on that. So if you want help on that front, I think that's something that MMAH is available for. Okay?
That's actually really good. I appreciate that.
We're like the rules of the road, Scott.
Yeah.
And with that said, I do apologize. Okay. I got a meeting with Premier's office at 11 and I missed my already, so.
All of this led me to Peterborough, because one thing I learned is that progressive people tend to flock together. What I was able to see was probably one of the most complex and ambitious builds, because not only did these guys decide to build on the main street, but they brought in historical aspects, a renovation, new build, and modular all at the same time. And one of the best things about this was their first job doing modular ever. And building like this, can you imagine something like that being approved in Toronto when I can't even build a fourplex in a standard residential community? So this means that this area has to be progressive. That means the leader of this progressive area has to be on board with everything that's going on in order for this to get passed. And one thing I learned is that he actually really was. We went to Peterborough to ask Mayor Jeff Leo if he'll use his strong mayor powers to make modular housing a reality.
Hey, good. See you. See you. Good see you again. Sid Kerrigan, hello. See you. Jason.
Hey, Chris Potts. How are you? He told me he wants to deliver 4,700 new homes, because that's how many units Peterborough needs to meet its targets. The more he completes by 2031, the more he can influence making this a real solution. He even admitted that permitting modular builds can take 6 times longer than a conventional one, and he agreed that it's absolutely unacceptable.
Your organization, I think, is going to be part of that new chapter of an ongoing history.
So how does one now look at a modular product that may be built somewhere else and is now going to be landed in another municipality? How do we deal with that red tape?
I just think you can't have that attitude in today's world, because if you keep promoting that kind of attitude, we got millennials and Gen Z that are going to be very disappointed that they can't acquire housing, and they have every right. If they're hardworking, got a job, trying to make a contribution to their community, they need an opportunity to buy a house. So any opportunity we can get to bring homes into the marketplace that are more reasonably priced and give people the hope again of acquiring a home, I think is vitally important to the broader well-being of Canadian society.
That was absolutely awesome. The Mayor of Peterborough is actually fully on our side. So why don't we do this? I'm gonna take everything he said. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna deliberate. We're gonna kind of break it down so that everybody can understand how really cool this actually is. Because when you think about this, if we have the Mayor of Peterborough on our side to actually help us deliver a real product, man, this could go nationwide. This is a really big deal. Okay, I'll see you soon.
Jeff wants the province to recognize CSA A277. What is that? Well, let's check this out. Canada's provinces have different building codes. When a modular home crosses a border, it can face new permits, inspections, even redesigns. A national standard, CSA A277, certifies that a factory-built module meets the local requirements at its destination. Every certified unit has its own serial number, a travel log, and a full set of inspection documents. CSA A277 means modules are inspected in the factory with certification overseen by accredited bodies. This gives local inspectors confidence that hidden components don't need to be torn apart on site. When provinces recognize CSA A277, modules can move freely. There's no need for repeat approvals, saving weeks or months in permitting. Harmonized codes cut red tape and reduce costs. He wants single permit instead of two separate approvals, and he's ready to use his strong mayor powers to make it happen. Most importantly, he knows modular works only if Ontario harmonizes its code with national standards. Hearing that from the mayor gave me major hope.
It takes too long and it costs too much to build a home in this province. I think we all know this. It's bold, it's ambitious, it's aggressive. We're working closely with our municipal partners and home builders, and we're going to get the job done. Again, creating the environment for good success to take place in the next 12 to 24 months.
And this is why we need everybody pushing with us to make sure that these stone walls eventually come down for good. I think we're on the right track, so let's keep it up. And like always, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. I'll see you next time.